Welcome back to Holden's Golden Age of Wargaming, and we are now on to our second game in my very, very long journey through the SPI titles released before TSR bought them out in 1982. The game we are now going to play is called Soldiers Tactical Combat in 1914 to 1915. Last time I did the intro in the first turn, but this time I'm just going to do a video introducing the game, and therefore I can talk about it a little bit more. I think I went through Austerlitz a little too fast. Once I start playing the turns, there'll be no nonsense. Get the turns done, kind of as I'd like to do. So, Soldiers, what is it? Well, it was released in June of 1972, and it appears that it was designed by Dave Eisby and developed by Lenny Glynn. Reading off the SPI marketing spiel, it says that Soldiers simulates the open clash of the opposing armies in the first months of World War I, before the paralyzing trench lines were constructed. Depicts the small unit tactics in 1914 to 15 before the war became an artillery duel, before commanders realized that the machine gun could harvest men like wheat. The nature of the situation allows Soldiers to be a fairly simple game. There are only four basic types of units: infantry companies, cavalry squadrons, artillery, and howitzer batteries. And combat is far simpler than in games with armored vehicles. The range of tactical situations is as broad as the geographical scope of the situations. There are actions calling for seizure of positions, penetrations of enemy lines, elimination of enemy strongpoints and units. There is even a true solitaire scenario in which an active German player must deal with a Russian force which moves and fires according to the automatic rules. The same game system is used in all 13 through I believe it's 14 scenarios, but the variety of armies and unit capabilities makes Soldiers a rich game. Okay. And I've read through the rules, and it is fairly straightforward. It's about 3.5 to 4 pages of rules, so it's not a lot. But it is very different than anything I've played before. And I guess that leads me to, what have I played before? What is my history with gaming? Well, when I was about 10 years old, my father brought home a little game called Panzerblitz. So this would have been around 1985. And I thought, it was a brand new game, and little did I know it was already 15 years old at that point. And him and I played through all the scenarios, and he always played the Germans and I always played the Russians. And I'm pretty sure I probably lost every scenario. And we probably didn't play the rules, knowing my father, completely correctly. He always likes to change things to be, more in his vision of history. From there, I went on to play Axis and Allies. Had a lot of fun with that till we got bored with it. It's always the first turn. Who does Germany take Karelia or not? And then I went really down the rabbit hole, went away from historical wargaming, because I found this little box set in the library or the bookstore called Starfleet Battles Commander's Edition Volume 1. And I was only like 11 or 12. And I took that home and I read it, but I didn't understand it very, very much. But that all changed come about 1991 when I went to a convention in the city and discovered that the Starfleet Battles had a new edition out called the Captain's Edition or Doomsday Edition. And so I spent all my money buying all the modules, the basic set, the advanced mission set. And my friends and I started playing it very badly during our teen years, but by our 20s, we had it figured out. We were playing it pretty good. But after that, life happens, and we went our separate ways. And I still gamed, but it became more like just board gaming, like games like Dominion and I don't know, like I guess Risk 2210 and Risk Legacy and games like that. Games that aren't war games, but and then I started DMing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and it was also a love of mine when I was a kid. And then I had a virtual tabletop program called Map Tools, and during the pandemic, I DM'd Pathfinder 2nd edition on that Map Tools with a whole bunch of guys, and we had a great time. But eventually, was a DM, especially with a virtual tabletop system like Map Tools. You spend 3 or 4 hours designing to have about 1 hour of game time. So I got tired of that, and then I said, okay, I'm now in my 40s, and I'm very interested in history, so I'm going to get into historical wargaming. And currently on my table, we're playing Command and Colors Ancients. I played Memoir 44 back in the day, of course. And the convention I just recently went to, I played Command and Colors Napoleonics. That was interesting. I have Command and Colors Medieval pre-ordered from GMT right now, waiting for that. And also my nemesis and I are also playing the Battles of the American Revolution system by GMT Games. And we played Utah Springs and Guilford Courthouse. And we're about to play this weekend coming up Saratoga, Battle of Saratoga. So just really, getting into war games. Yes, Starfleet Battles, very, 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 very. I mean, I don't know how many. I think I have like, 12 binders worth of stuff for that game. Like it's. I guess it's kind of like the science fiction's version of Advanced Squad Leader. So it's not a game; it's a lifestyle. I basically missed out on wargaming, a lot of gaming over the years because all my attention was on that game. That game took everything. So that's where I am, and that's my experience with playing games. And then, of course, I love history, and I like game design. So, of course, getting interested in war games, I eventually went back to Tactics 2. I played that game once, and then Gettysburg and Battle of the Bulge and D-Day. So I looked at Napoleon, or Waterloo, I believe is what the Avalon Hill title was called, which I have tried playing, but that Waterloo was just too. It was too old, I guess, too outdated. I mean, it was kind of fun, but at the same time, very like had all these leader units that meant nothing. I guess they mean something for the multiplayer game if you play with more than 2 people, but there's like a lot of useless things, and it wasn't very realistic at all. So, but I do plan on this channel to cover some Avalon Hill games, but probably starting in the 1970s. Titles released then. I might even play a little Panzer once. I'm not sure. So that led me to SPI, and at that time I got on Tabletop Simulator, and I said, "Hey, I want to make a couple mods." And the SPI titles, you can actually find all the resources, the assets to put them, or for me to create the mods. And I actually found a website called simpubs.org, www.simpubs.org, and that has great assets, really nice looking assets for making the games. And I said, you know what I'm going to do as a goal for myself? I'm going to finish all. I'm going to get all the SPI games on Tabletop Simulator that haven't already been done. There's a couple of really good mod makers, Madmark 56, I believe, and Richthofen 56. They're really good. They've done some mods, but I didn't realize when I started just how many titles SPI released in the 70s until they were bought out by TSR in 1982. It's a lot, but I'm still committed to fulfilling that goal, just not nearly as fast as I was in the beginning. So the other thing, of course, is playtesting these mods, making sure they work, and that's what's led to this video series. When I come in, like for soldiers, I went in and I found out the counters were too big for the hexes, so I basically fixed it all up and improved the mod, which I wouldn't have done if I wasn't going to play this video series right now. It would take someone else having to tell me. So by going through and playing them, and it also shines a light on them. And in the end, I'm really interested in the history of wargaming game design, how it evolved, how it became what it is today. So that is my story, and that is my small talk. And I promise no small talk when I'm doing the turns, but that's why we're doing an introduction. So this game is very different from anything I've played before. I'm not going to do a turn for this video. I do have my initial setups, and I guess we should read. Let's read the first scenario. And, as I said, the rule book's not very long. We get to the scenarios pretty fast. So this is scenario 1, Franco-German meeting engagement, Ronstadt, August 18th, which is my birthday, so that's great, 1914. The French 44th Division moved into Alsace as part of Plan 17, an operation to recapture the territory the French lost in 1871. On August 18th, their advance guard ran into the 5th Royal Bavarian Regiment, part of the Bavarian 1st Division, which was marching through Alsace. I'm massacring these names, I know. Into France. A brief but bitter action resulted, including a futile charge by the Bavarian cavalry on French machine guns. In the end, the French were forced to retire, but the Bavarians were unable to follow up, so the action ended in a draw. So I'll quickly go over the victory conditions and my setup, and then after that I'll end the video and we will go immediately to turn 1, which I believe is the French. The French get to move first, so that's what the next video will be. So let's see here. I have set the Germans up. It says that I have to set them from on the railway directly, and from Woods P to the south. Right, I do believe that is what it said. Directly on the railroad from the south edge of the map to Woods P inclusive. So putting all the units on there. Let's get down here. There's Woods P. Here's the rail line, and I put them all on there. I guess that's correct. I've stacked them as much as I can to get them to fit, and hopefully that is correct. Over here are the French, and it basically told me that I had to be west of Town A and north of Road 1. So there's Road 1, and there's Town A. So west. So let me just move these out of the way for a second. So there I drew a line of the hexes that I can start in, and hopefully that's right. If it's not right, let me know. It'll be a day before I actually play the turnout. And victory conditions. How do we win? Well, it's kind of like football. Well, kind of. The French need to get 5 units from here through here. We have to exit off the map between this triangle and this triangle. I've used these to remind myself where I have to go. So the French have to get 5 units to get off this side of the map in this corner. The Germans have to do the same, but opposite. They have to get 5 units off between here and here. So both sides are trying to get 5 units off the opposite corner they start on, and at the same time prevent their enemy from doing the same to them. So it should be very interesting, and I'll go into the rules as usual as they come up. But this game is very different. There's no zone of controls, which, like Command and Colors, I guess there's no zone of controls there as well. But compared to the Napoleon at Waterloo and Austerlitz, which I have played of SPI. It's quite different not having zone of controls. The other really huge thing is that these values here up in the upper left-hand corner are the unit's attack strengths, but they're not the defense strengths. When you fire at something, you fire into the hex. So looking here, the hex of defense strength, that's what every unit in that hex has for a defense. So for example, town is the best spot with an 8 defense in this game anyways, in this scenario. There are trenches and improved positions, but not in this scenario. So a town would have an 8 defense. So looking at the CRT here, we see that on a 7-to-1 odds, automatic elimination. So if you could bring to bear 56 attack points on a stack that's in a town, you automatically destroy it. Of course, there is the direct fire and observed fire rules. We'll get into that when we start playing. But take just a clear hex. If you have a stack of units in there, all it takes for the Germans is this little stack here, like these two here. These are 2 infantry. So say they're here, and you're here, and they fire at you. Well, you have every unit that's in that hex has a defense of 2, and they attacking have a range of 4, so they can hit you in that hex, and they do 14 damage. What's 14 divided by 2? 7. 7-to-1 odds. So you're automatically destroyed. That's not like that simplifies combat. That's going to simplify things for me because I always just, what's the hex? What hexes are they in? Easy. I don't have to count up. I'll have to count up the attacker. I'll never have to count up the defender. That makes it so it's really easy to just totally destroy the units. Not only that, you move, then you fire, then your enemy gets to fire, then your enemy moves, and then your enemy fires, and you get to fire. So that's double the firing that I'm typically used to in a war game. So it's very different. I'm looking forward to playing it, but it looks like it's going to be very bloody. But as we know, in World War I, it was very bloody. Not only that, but infantry, if they're adjacent, double their attack strength, and machine guns. Where is a machine gun? Is this a machine gun? No, that's not a machine gun. That's a howitzer. Oh, where are the machine guns? I know I have an ally one here. The French one. Here's a machine gun. So it's got a range of 9. If it fires at anything within 1, 2, or 3, it doubles its attack. So that means it's an 8 that gets fired out to 9. And so it looks like it's going to be really bloody. Like, units are going to be dying all over the place. Which, once again, is World War One. And of course, this should be interesting because World War One before they started digging trenches to protect themselves. But I have a feeling this game is going to show us why those men dug those trenches. So, anyways, looking forward to this. Same pattern as before. Every other day I'll release a turn. I might do the... no, I'll do it like I did Austerlitz. One side, one turn per video. And anyways, looking forward to it, and hope you guys enjoy it, and hopefully I do better than Austerlitz. But it is totally, once again, a whole new set of rules. They seem fairly easy. Oh, and one last thing. I have the sound effects of the ambience of World War I in the background. And I've also got some dice to add some flavor. So if a machine gun ever attacks, we'll roll the machine gun die. If I attack with just standard infantry, we'll just roll this one. Just a good old rifle. If I attack with cavalry, which reading the rules I don't see why I would ever do, and we'll go over that when we get into the game, but they're fast, that's about it. And finally, if I attack with a howitzer or a field gun, we'll roll this dice. And this is I love playing tabletop, but Tabletop Simulator definitely can add to the whole experience of playing these games, as you can see. So, anyways, that's all I'll talk for today. I'll see you guys in a couple days with turn 1. And until then, have a great night and take care.